How's it going, everybody? We've got a big fight coming up this weekend. Canelo Alvarez versus Jamel Charlo. Undisputed versus Undisputed. 168 versus 154. Here is my prediction. Starting off, firstly, let's give credit to Charlo for moving up two weight divisions. He's definitely attempting to be great. Canelo again, you know what? This is actually a really good fight. It's a good match, and I think it's one that's going slightly under the radar in regards to how good it is. Now, obviously, there are the obvious reasons as to why people are saying that, well, in this instance, that Canelo is probably a big favourite, and that is the size difference. That is the fact that Charlo is moving up from 154 to 168. However, if you look at the weigh-ins, he's not a small 154 pounder. He's actually bigger than Canelo. When I give my assessment of the fight, I will explain how I think that will play into proceedings when the fight takes place. However, it is a good fight. They're both undisputed. They're both top 10 pound for pound rated fighters, and they've both taken losses and bounced back from those losses. So it'll be interesting to see. Going into the fight, I have to give credit to both for taking it. I do favour Canelo. I do think Canelo will come out victorious. If I was to put my money on it, I'd say Canelo over 12 rounds. Now, Canelo's career is panning out in an interesting way. He's adapted. He's had to adapt. Like most fighters, as you get older, you have to adapt athletically. You have to adapt to your strengths as you move up in the weight divisions. And at 168, I think he's at his peak. When he cleared out the division, when he took on the likes of Billy Joe Saunders, Callum Smith, Kelly Plant, he was on fire. I mean, that is the best we've seen Canelo, and that is where I think he truly stamped himself as a Hall of Famer and an all-time great. Some of the other weight classes, weight divisions, you can say he kind of picked his fights, maybe at middleweight, maybe at junior middleweight, but at 168, he's been phenomenal. However, when you look at his recent fight against John Ryder, who, in my opinion, was an underrated, crafty fighter, tough as they come, and Canelo decisively won. Have to give massive credit to Ryder for coming in and boxing in Mexico in that massive stadium and taking the stick he took and coming back. However, lots of people were giving Canelo stick, saying he looks a little bit flat, a little bit one-dimensional, just had his hands up and was walking Ryder down, just smashing the arms. And that seems to be how Canelo's boxing these days. I remember Canelo seemed to be like 21 years old for about 10 years. Well, I remember when he was about 21 years old, around the time he was boxing Mosley, around the time he was boxing Josecito Lopez, it was like, watching him was like, whoa, so diverse, just so explosive, an amazing counter puncher, used to really put his punches together. There's a flurry he unleashes on Lopez on the ropes, and it's like a 12 punch combination that just flattens him. But yeah, as I say, he has adapted. He has got a bit of a slower pace style now. I think we kind of saw it the first time around with Callum Smith, when he's fighting these bigger guys and just kind of getting his hands up and smashing the arms, tearing bicep muscles, I should say. So, yeah, it will be interesting to see how this one pans out. I mean, if we look at Charlo, as I say, he isn't a small 154 pounder. He's big. He's bigger than Canelo when they face off. However, I do think jumping up two weight divisions to fight the man never really pans out well. One weight division, it can happen, it's still tough, but two weight divisions is mad. And the reason I say, well, not mad, but you know what I mean, it's a big difference. And the reason I say this is, although he is physically bigger, taller, it's just that strength. You have to adapt into a new weight division. Now, even using myself for an example, I'm a 147 pounder, and I was fighting nowhere near the level these guys are. And just moving up to 154 for one fight, just like these shots hit you, you're like, whoa. Even if you're bigger than the opponent. Going up two weight divisions against Canelo, who is extremely solid, is going to be tough, I think. And we know Canelo can take a punch. For me, I think the blueprints of this fight I would look at is the Castaño fight, the first fight against Charlo, where Castaño just pushed Charlo, just pushed him all the way, smothered him, suffocated him with that hands-up pressure, had him against the ropes and worked. Now, I think that's the fight that Canelo's seen and thinks he can exploit and thinks he can kind of work towards. For me, I think we're going to see Canelo, just how Canelo's been lately. I don't think there's going to be a complete style change. He's extremely stocky, extremely strong, and I think he's going to have his hands up, sharp counter punching on the front foot, but he's just going to try and bang away at Charlo. back him up against the ropes and just use his size. Now for me, Charlo is incredibly sharp. He has excellent fundamentals. That 1-2 is a thing of beauty. It's extremely underrated. And I think that he's going to have to try and catch Canelo with sharp little catch counters. If he's going to go against the ropes, which I wouldn't advise, he's going to have to catch and counter and move. Now, we haven't really seen Canelo struggle in recent years against people that are the same size or smaller than him. It's more people that are bigger than him, like in the case against Bivol. So I do think we're going to see Canelo kind of wear Charlo down as the fight goes on. I think Charlo will land some good shots. Canelo doesn't necessarily move his head like he used to. He's still crafty. He still rides shots well. But I do think we'll see Charlo catch him with some shots. However, I think Canelo's going to wear him down and ultimately win on points. Just basically battering his arms like he has been lately. But nevertheless, this is a really good fight. Charlo is a live underdog. Now, I'm not saying that he's too small and moving up he has no chance. He's a live underdog. He's the undisputed 154 champion. And although he did lose that first fight to Castaño, he avenged it in pretty brutal fashion. He's a big puncher for the 154 pound division. He's got some pretty impressive knockouts. However, we've seen Canelo win with some of the biggest punchers in the sport, and it doesn't really seem to faze him. So if I was going to give my prediction of the fight, I would go Canelo on points. I think he would, as I say, I think he's just going to have that guard up, a little bit of subtle head movement, riding the shots, and just banging away, just trying to back Charlo up, and just ultimately using that, not size advantage, but that strength advantage, being a solid, stocky 168 pounder, and just backing him up with that high guard. Charlo's going to try and catch him with counter shots, work at range, work at distance, create space. Try not to back up against the ropes too much, but if he is, catch and counter, and then move off. He wants to stay away from those ropes, but again, I think Canelo's crafty enough, experienced enough to get him on there. So that's my prediction for the fight. It's a very good fight. Look, I said Canelo would beat Bivol. These things happen, you know what I mean? We could see Charlo win, but for me, Canelo is the favourite. I will be very interested to see where he goes after this. He is the undisputed super middleweight champion. The one they're all calling for is Benavidez, if he does win, which again I think is an excellent fight. Different to this one as well, because Benavidez will be pushing Canelo back. But he hasn't got an easy night's work coming up Saturday. Charlo is proven top 10 pound for pound, and it should be a great fight. So let me know in the comment section who you think is going to win. As I say, I'm going with Canelo on points, but I could be wrong. This is a good fight. And make sure you like the content, share, drop a comment, and thank you.